We've done a lot of analysis on the Chicago Bears roster, so I got one more for you guys, all right? We're talking overrated, underrated. So I'm going to give you guys my most overrated player on the Chicago Bears current roster and my most underrated. So what is going on, y'all? Fox Sports all back at it with another video talking, of course, NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. So if you're a Bears fan, guys, please do hit that subscribe button down below. Please make sure to hit the bell icon so you are, in fact, notified every time I drop a new video. All right, so here we go. One overrated and one underrated player for the Bears. Just a couple things here before I give you guys those names. I didn't want to pick any of the new players that we signed, right? I want to see how they fit in with the Bears and, you know, how they're actually going to look with the team. So there was a couple names that I contemplated, like an Olamide Zaccheaus as like an underrated player, because I do think he's an underrated receiver. But he hasn't played a snap with the Bears yet, all right? And then I don't want to put any rookies on the list either. We got to see them play as well. So no new free agents, no new rookies. Let's talk about guys that we've actually seen in a Bears uniform. So here we go. We'll start on a positive note here. We'll start with the underrated player. So a couple guys that I did consider for this, but my player is going to be Darnell Wright. All right, Darnell Wright. Now you might be thinking, Faiz, this dude was a high draft pick, right? A top 10 pick. Yes, he was. But the reason I say underrated is because he has been a steady force in his 2 seasons with the Bears thus far at that right tackle spot. And I feel like he does not get talked about enough and doesn't get the credit that he deserves, right? When we even talk about the offensive line, you know, that got improved in free agency, everybody only talks about the interior. Oh, we got Joe Tooney, you know, Jonah Jackson's there. We signed Drew Dahlman. But Darnell Wright's a damn good right tackle. All right, like we need to talk about it more. And I know Bears fans always talk about the fact that we passed up on Jalen Carter to take Wright. I'm more than happy with that decision. Darnell Wright has been a consistently solid right tackle and does not get the credit that he deserves. In fact, according to PFF, had a 79.3 PFF grade last season, was a top 5 right tackle in the NFL according to PFF. The only right tackles with a higher grade where Zach Tom for the Packers, Penei Sewell for the Lions, Lane Johnson for the Eagles, and Brian O'Neill. Okay? Those were the only guys that were higher rated than a Darnell Wright. So to me, Darnell Wright is a great right tackle. I think he has solidified himself at that position. Honestly speaking, I know there was like all that talk about like Ozzie Trapilo maybe moving over to the right side. Like, no, that's not happening, okay? The only position on the offensive line that is a major question mark is the left tackle spot, all right? With Braxton Jones, his injury concerns, and then like the guys we drafted with Ozzie Trapilo and Kieran Abagaji. The other positions, especially right tackle, we are set at. I'd even argue that Jonah Jackson still has to prove himself more so than a Darnell Wright. So to me, he is underrated. Honestly, doesn't get talked about enough, just produces steady force there. I like Darnell Wright a lot. He deserves more credit. He is underrated. Okay? Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with that. Let's move on to overrated. And again, a couple of names that I considered here, but to me, I got to go with Tummaine Edmonds. I'm sorry, I just do. Tummaine Edmonds has been a disappointment. Okay? We signed him to a massive 4-year, $72 million contract a couple seasons ago, and he has done nothing to prove his worth for that contract. I mean, keep in mind, this guy was a 2-time Pro Bowler with the Buffalo Bills, and he just comes to the Bears, gets paid, and doesn't produce. Now, he hasn't been terrible, but we're comparing him to the contract he signed. We moved on from Roquan Smith, traded him because in free agency, they felt comfortable giving this big money to Tummaine Edmonds, just hasn't lived up to it, all right? According to PFF, a 59.2 PFF grade, which is ranked 119th among 189 linebackers this past season. Think about that. 119 out of 189. Pass rush grade, 140 out of 189. Run defense grade, 106 out of 189. And coverage grade, 110 out of 189. So just all across the board has not been good. Numbers haven't been great. He just has not produced and lived up to the contract that we signed him. And it's so much so to the point that this could be his last season with the Chicago Bears. I truly do believe that if he does not prove his value this upcoming season, I think the Bears will go ahead and move on from him, as they should. Again, we aren't getting our money's worth here. So to me, that is what makes Tummaine Edmonds the most overrated player on the Chicago Bears. So there you have it, folks. An overrated player, an underrated player. Let me know if you guys agree. Who do you have as your most overrated and underrated player on the Chicago Bears? Let me know down below with your reasoning. As always, thanks for watching.